Our second speaker is Ashley Chong. She's an international studies major focusing in East Asia and post-colonial diasporic studies. She has a minor in anthropology and a writing certificate, so there's 2 writing certificates. She's moved 7 times across Southeast Asia and North America before coming to Iowa to pursue her undergraduate degree. As she puts it, she's most confident in Korean, native Korean, and French, and is working on her Mandarin and Spanish language proficiencies. She's also an iCrew Research Fellow with the International Writing Program. Beyond academics, she's a member of a string quartet within the School of Music. She's part of the executive board of the Translate Iowa project, and she performs at local venues as one half of a musical group called the Dashi Project. Please help me to welcome Ashley.
Hi, everyone. We keep joking that as interns here, we're usually used to eating kind of in the back or in the kitchen even, scrambling, and we usually don't get tables. But it's really nice to have a table, you know, and not have to like cram everything in before our 12:30 class and like run out with the samosa in hand, you know. So anyhow, I'm here to speak about my international experiences, however, and not just my experience as an ICFRC intern. So before I start, I first wanted to discuss the word international itself. So the word international has its connotations, but then also its etymological meaning. So when you derive it all the way back to its root. So often when we talk about international, we talk about something that's, well, from an American perspective, something that's not America, something that is abroad, something that is foreign, something that is different, something that we're not used to. If you really want to get down to it, you could even say something that's other. But then we look at the word itself. So international has 2 parts to it. Inter meaning among, and then nation. Well, and then all, but anyhow. And then nation. So nation also has its connotations and its etymological meaning. Nation, in a political context, means a group of people who have a common ancestry or a common history. But if you actually go to the etymology of the word, it comes from an old French word which actually means home. And so if you put it together, international means among different homes. But my question is, what happens when you have multiple homes and they're multiple homes in one person? What happens when for one person going to Korea, it is an international experience, but for me, it's something relating to my heritage. It's not something that's foreign or other. So, my name is Ashley Chong. I am a daughter of 2 Korean immigrants, one of who is there, my mom's in the audience. And so, yes, hi mom. So I was born in Peoria, Illinois, which is about 2.5 hours from here. We didn't stay there very long because then we went to Singapore, where my brother was born 2 years later, and then Manila, Philippines, Jakarta, Indonesia, Singapore again, back to Peoria, where is the headquarters of Caterpillar, which is where my dad works, and then up to Montreal for 3 years before I settled here in Iowa City for my undergraduate career. So it's pretty clear that my sense of home is very complex for several reasons. First of all, when someone asks, where are you from? Generally, they're not really asking where I'm from, they're asking my heritage. And so I first have to say, okay, I'm ethnically Korean, but then even when I answer that question, this question still is, where's your hometown? And I still can't really answer that without giving a whole explanation about, well, I lived in da-da-da-da-da. So usually I just say I've lived in Peoria for the longest, but I feel the most at home in Montreal and in Iowa City. So when I came to the University of Iowa, I actually came as a biomedical engineer. That lasted for 1.5 years. and then I switched into international studies. And I think this was in part because I took Civilizations of Asia Korea class, which was incredible. And I've always loved the humanities. And that gave me a glimpse of what does it look like to study this on a college level. And also because I just was always curious and wanting to know more about myself as an Asian American, as part of a Korean diaspora, which diaspora meaning people who are living beyond the country of their heritage. I was just wanting to spend more time to do that. And so I declared my international studies major and did it in East Asian studies and post-colonial diasporic studies, which is very interesting because it feels like I am, I'm the person behind the microscope, but I'm also the person on the slide that the microscope is analyzing. So I'm simultaneously studying people like me, but also having this moment of like, that's me. So for example, in the first post-colonial class I took, I was the only person who was diaspora in that class, and we would be discussing theories, and I would be kind of getting emotional, like, oh my goodness, that's totally what I went through, or that's me. But I try not to get too emotional in it because we were talking about and analyzing it and what does this text say. So that was a very interesting experience for me. But alongside of my academic exploration of my identity, I also am a very creative person. So as Art mentioned, I play the violin, and I've been in a string quartet or string ensemble since freshman year. So there's that aspect, but then I also wanted to find other creative venues to explore my identity. So I started translating for the Translate Iowa project, even though my Korean was not up to par, but it's okay because I had people to help me. And then I also started a musical duo with my friend called the Dashi Project, in which we would do a lot of mashups in English and Korean. She speaks Hebrew, so we would do a song in English, Korean, and Hebrew, and then sometimes you throw in Hindi, because why not? So that was another creative venue for me. And then on the writing aspect, I would write poetry, mostly in English, but also throwing in some Hangul, which is the Korean text, kind of as a way to represent the code switching that was constantly happening in my mind on the paper. So for sophomore and junior year, the creative and the academic processes to kind of work through my identity as a Korean diaspora were separate, but then I wanted to bring them together. And so I was extremely lucky through some connections that kind of just happened. I ended up having an internship with the International Writing Program. Kathleen is here somewhere. Yes, in the back. There's my lovely mentor who was very patient and fantastic with working with me. And with my internship, which I started this summer before my senior year, I was able to merge both the academic and the creative side together. So I was doing research for the Origins podcast, in which we interviewed a select number of the fall residency writers who come at the beginning of every year from 30 plus countries. And I got to creatively read their texts and kind of ask questions like, oh, what was this style and what was this vocabulary choice or whatnot that you used? But I was also able to apply my international studies background in asking questions about the social, the political context, the cultural context in which these stories were being written in. So that was a very neat opportunity for me to just merge the two together. But then on top of that, I had a fantastic opportunity this past fall to also have a hand at curating. And so, as I already mentioned, I do have connections in the School of Music because I've been participating in a chamber ensemble since my freshman year. And I've very close to the professor, Professor Oakes. Hopefully you'll watch this later. And so every year, so there's the School of Music, and then there's the University of Iowa String Quartet Residency Program, in which we bring 4 professional quartets to come every year to have residencies, very different quartets from very different backgrounds. And this past fall, the first group to come was the Chiara String Quartet. And so a year ago, when Voxman was opened up, the International Writing Program and the String Quartet Residency Program decided to do a collaboration together. And so I was there at that. I actually had a very surreal opportunity where I spontaneously read a poem I wrote on the stage. That was crazy, but that was kind of a forerunner that I would actually be able to help manage the collaboration that would happen. So what happened is, working with the Chiara String Quartet, and then also with 3 writers from the fall residency, 1 writer from South Korea, 1 writer from Thailand, and 1 writer from Egypt, we made this event, and it was called Memory as Creative Fuel, because the Chiara String Quartet is very unique in that it performs completely from memory. So they don't even have music stands there. And it's a very visceral experience because you are kind of drawn into it, and it's a bit uncomfortable at first, but then it's very engaging. So they perform from memory. And then we decided, in speaking with Kathleen, we were like, what writers do we think who thematically explore the concept of memory? And so we picked these 3 writers. And I helped in that process, and I also listened through the repertoire that the quartet had, and was part of this team to just bring this together and create a very emotionally powerful experience where a reader, like the Thai reader, would read something, and then we'd go straight into like the Shostakovich performance, and then we'd go straight into another very intense piece, and then go straight into something else. So it was a very impactful night that I was somehow able to participate in, which was fantastic. And so that experience of curating and bringing the creative aspect in exploring like the multiple homes, again, going back to the concept of international meaning among homes, but kind of flipping it from a diaspora perspective that I have several homes within me. The curating experience gave me the opportunity to combine the academic and the theoretical portion with my creative portion. And that was definitely a glimpse of something that I hope to continue doing in the future. And even recently, the last string quartet that was just here the week before spring break, the Elias String Quartet, gave me further glimpse of that actually happening. They all hail from the UK, but the most extraordinary thing that they did was their second violinist is Scottish, and we had a folk improv session. And the thing is, classical musicians usually cannot improv. We like having sheet music in front of us, but he was like, no sheet music, just follow me, and I'm not even gonna type for the tempo, just go for it, and just improv, here's the chord, go for it. And I think there were two parts to that folk improv session. The first one in which the second violinist shared his culture with us. So he explained this is Scottish traditional music. I will sing some things in Gaelic. I will show you how it works. We'll go into the dance. And then he opened it up for us. He said, now let's collaborate together. And it was very unique in that it wasn't even like, here they are and we're this like rectangular audience. It was actually a massive circle. So there was this space that was just created where, he's presenting this culture, we can engage in the culture, and then we can also partake in just engaging and like participating in it. And that was really inspiring for me because that again was a glimpse of like, oh, I could maybe do something like this in the future. And so on top of all this that's been happening, I've also been in contact with the second violinist of the Kiara String Quartet, who is also Korean American. And she introduced me to this topic called madang. And madang literally is just open space. It's a courtyard in a Korean traditional home where people would talk, they would have debates, there would be rituals. It was a community space. But the unique thing about madang is similar to how the folk session went, it was a circle. There are no lines between the performer and the audience. There's no us, them. It's very much, if you want to participate, you can. You can like give your vocalization. You can run in, you can participate in it. And for her, because she was a performer, she was like, that's what I want to pursue. I want to create this space where there is no us and them, and it's just anyone can participate and anyone is free to participate. On top of that, she added a definition from a member of the Silk Road Ensemble who is also diasporic and who defined home as being a space where one can freely express them true selves. And so she combined that aspect of home as a place for free expression with the concept of madang, where there is no boundary line, to create this framework that helped her best understand what it meant to be a member of diaspora, what it meant to be Korean American, what it meant to have these multiple homes within her. And so that was kind of a long road that I took you down. But back to the prompt, which is the relevance of my international experiences. And I guess to that, because I did kind of give my own definition, because international is different for me because of who I am. I think for me, the relevance of my international experience, which ironically actually took place mostly in Iowa City, is that through those experiences, in connecting with the people who just passed through Iowa City, I have been given a taste of this madang influence. In other words, I've been given a taste of wanting to create this space to explore multiple homes within and also beyond people. Thank you.